affect mass and inertia. So it's like in Mass Effect. The whole game is called Mass Effect because the gimmick in the series was this element zero stuff, that when you do stuff to it, if you put current through it or whatever it was they do, it can make a field that affects the mass of the object around it. So it can make you weigh less or make you weigh more. And by using that to make the entire spacecraft weigh like almost negative mass, they can go faster than light. Because as you accelerate towards the speed of light, your mass increases like exponentially. But if you have a negative mass, it means that your speed increases exponentially rather than your mass. So when you turn yourself to negative mass, you just accelerate without putting any more energy in. So everything gets inverted when you have negative mass, but that's the problem. No one actually has any scientific method for making negative mass.
Everything becomes inverted.
Yes. So if you could take an object and make it so it has negative mass, it would accelerate on its own and produce energy. So yes, everything goes backwards. Yes, it would produce energy from movement. Because right now, normally in physics, you have to put energy in to move an object. That's why you can't get to the speed of light, because your mass goes up exponentially with your acceleration. But if your object has no mass or negative mass, well, with no mass, nothing happens. But if you have negative mass, the more you accelerate, the less energy you use, until it goes to the fact where it's putting energy out and still accelerating exponentially. But that's all science fiction, so you got to reverse the polarity on the warp coils to get that to happen.
We could have solar as well, they're pretty good.
Oh, well, it's inefficient, and it only works out to a certain point. Once you get halfway between two stars, it'll just start slowing you down, and it'll get stuck in the halfway point. Oh, there's another awkward thing to get around with acceleration and deceleration. So if you aimed at Alpha Centauri, so say if it's 5 light years, and you accelerated constantly halfway there, and then decelerated constantly the other half, you get lots of shit happening with time dilation then. So, it would take you, if you accelerated up to almost the speed of light and then braked back down from it, if it took you, say, 2 years to do that, it could have been 20 years on the outside for someone who wasn't accelerating. Someone just sat on a planet. So, because time travels slower, the faster you're going and the more acceleration you're going through.
Got some Back to the Future shit on the go.
But that's not time travel really, because that's just how time and space works.
It's been someone out there.
Well, it's been we can already measure that the faster you travel, the more you accelerate, or the further away you are from a source of gravity, the slower time passes for you in relation to someone who is closer to a gravity source, not accelerating or traveling slower. But because everything in existence is moving, it just depends. Your speed depends on what you're measuring yourself relative to. Because if you're measuring yourself relative to the ground, to the surface of this planet, you could be stationary. But the planet's surface is spinning at thousands of miles per hour. So in relation to the center, in relation to the sun, the surface of the Earth is moving really fast, but it's also orbiting around it, so it's going even faster. The sun is moving, so the entire solar system is going even faster, and the galaxy is moving and spinning, so that's faster and faster again, and the entire universe is expanding away from itself. So everything is moving. And let's not forget that in the universe there is actually no fixed center point to measure all the movement of everything it's all in relation to each other. So there is not actually any there's no one set fixed point.
I reckon we're a computer generation.
It makes no difference. Makes no difference at all.
I mean, that is a very plausible thing.
Yeah,
So.
it's perfectly possible. But in a simulation, there's no way to actually prove any otherwise that there is no way of measuring speed without some point to measure in relativity to. Because if you had a ball flying through space, how do you know that ball is flying through space, or if it's staying still and everything else is going the other way? Because space has no reference points. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
But that's also why you can use that same exact point to just straight up say that the speed of light being a maximum is bollocks. It can't be. It can, because if you are stood on the, like, if you're on Earth and you send a ship off at almost, say, at the speed of light in one direction, and you send another ship off in the speed of light in exactly the opposite direction from that ship, those two ships in relation to each other are travelling double the speed of light.
Strange shit starts happening then when you get past the speed.
It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just saying that when science tries to say that the speed of light you can't go faster than the speed of light, it can't be true, because that's only in relation to something. So if you're moving away from the Earth at the speed of light, you're moving away from the Earth at 1 times the speed of light. But if you have another spacecraft travelling the exact opposite direction, also at the speed of light in relation to the Earth, those two craft in relation to each other are doing double the speed of light, because they're going opposite directions, both going at the speed of light, away from a central point. Because that's just the way that velocity works.
So they go so fast they go backwards.
No. It just means in relation to each other, they both have a speed of 2 times the speed of light, which is, in science they say is impossible, but then they also prove that it has to be possible, because that's just how speed works.
It's very, very, very stupid, I feel, and quite ironic for a scientist to say something is not possible.
Yes.
A true scientist should say, I don't know,
Mm.
because, you know, that is what science is about.
But like I've just,
like, oh, it's impossible. Well,
but I've
you're
literally
a
just,
scientist, mate, you know.
I've literally just explained to you how it must be possible, because it's the same as, like, if they tried to say that 10 miles an hour was the fastest that anything could go, for whatever reason. And then you say, okay, so if I go north at 10 miles an hour, and you go south at 10 miles an hour, our relative speed is 20 miles an hour. Because we're going opposite directions. So it adds up there. So there's, because velocity is entirely based on what you're measuring measuring yourself against, everything's relative. So in relation to your start, into what you're using as your fixed point, even if you could only go up to 1 times the speed of light, you have to be able to go past that point, because, well, something else could be going the exact opposite direction to you, which then makes it literally going double the speed that you thought was the limit relative to each other. Because it's mathematically impossible for you to say that if I go this way at this speed and you go the opposite way at the same speed, that you're still moving at that same speed in relation to each other. It doesn't work. It's just basic addition. I haven't heard anyone been able to, like, explain why that isn't true to me so far.
Evans probably could.
Working on it, don't worry.
You could probably try.
Anyone asks me like any ridiculous ridiculous like science question. Like, what are we going to do about the environment? You know, what are we going to do about this? Like, don't worry, Evans is working on it. Like, who's Evans? Just like, don't worry, Evans is doing it.
Evans is on it, like.
Evans is on it. They realised, you know, they knew that an asteroid was coming towards Earth like 10 years ago, and they're like, so why didn't you do anything before? And they're like, well, we thought Evans was on it.
Who? What?
Imagine that.
Evans walks in like, what? Oh yeah, that.
What you on about?
Oh yeah, that. I thought you were joking.
Yeah, that laboratory gave you and tens of millions of dollars. So yeah.
Just went out and got
No,
blinded.
I couldn't figure anything out. But I've got a really good great new
You wanna
strain of
buy some
weed
weed?
though. Yeah, I got the mad chronic I've been growing, man. I've perfected hydroponics.
Yeah. For the end of the world,
No,
everyone
man,
would
fuck
be
it, fuck
very
hydroponics.
high.
It's all about aeroponics now, anyway. So you got to get aeroponics.
So get them so high they don't care.
I figured out that I
That's
couldn't
the
stop
general
it,
plan.
so we're all gonna die. But we're all gonna die happy.
To be honest with you, I probably would just light up a fat spliff and just watch it come in on a hill or something. Why not?
The exact point of impact and be under it. Like the exact point on the Earth at the first point of the rock hits.
Right, so you can be stood there with your middle finger raised. Well, you could moon it, so the first point of contact it has with this planet is your arse.
Force of that.
Just stand on coming down. You stand at the highest point on that location, and just pull your fucking text down and moon it right at the last second.
Yeah, but then it would just crush your ass into your face. And then
Yeah, but you can have the glory of it. Like in history, it'll go down as that asteroid did not collide with Earth. The asteroid collided with your arse and exploded, and then destroyed the Earth. But the collision between that asteroid and your arse was what destroyed the Earth.
So in thousands of years, it's gonna like recreate Earth. They'll be like, this guy's actually.
Yeah, the destruction of this planet was caused by this dude's rectum. It wasn't the asteroid, it was actually his arse, because that's what touched it and then it exploded. We don't know why it exploded yet, we've got to figure that out.
Evans could do a squelch just before it hit.
Cancel out the momentum.
Operation Squelch.
Operation look.
The sheer force of the thrusting out, the expulsion of gas, just fucking
yeah,
stop it
survive.
dead and we just have another moon.
I'm the last man on Earth.
Be like the Fifth Element, like, but with a fart.
Sat there like in your own stench. Like.
At least I'd be alive.
But then only half the world dies from the fucking smell.
From the stinking.
Massive quantities of methane. And thus did they all perish, with lungs filled with rectal gas.
It's worse ways to go.
No, that was one of the cruelest things I ever heard. Was this guy was talking about how his brother used to wind him up, and he said this one day his older brother just came in and farted right next to him, and he's like, "Hey, you smell that?" It's like, "Yeah." "The air that's in your nose was in my arse." And he's like, "Oh, why would you say that?"
Stenchy McNugget, like.
It's like, "Smell that?" "Yeah." "That was in my arse."
That'll
Right,
be the next
just a second
stage
ago.
of television.
Fresh.
Like smell-o-vision.
People have been saying that for ages. It hasn't happened, and I hope it never does.
No, it will.
Most of that shit, I don't want to smell it.
I do.
Don't need that in my life. But then the thing is that then other people would be able to smell what you were watching on TV. How are you gonna how are you gonna sneakily watch some porn?
Have
You know, it's like, I smell
Turn it
pussy.
off.
You've been watching that porn? No. I smell jizz. What's going on?
Yeah, you watch them
I don't know how it would work.
those 2-bit sort of porn movies.
Squirts at
skank,
you.
but they fucking
Yeah, it's like,
just
look at
hide
them
off the
squirting.
street and it absolutely stinks of salmon when you're flatmates.
Like fucking fish.
So,
What is
like,
this?
Buy different smell cartridges for it, for each film.
Stinks of Morrison's fish counter.
It's like, excuse me, mate. Why does it stink of Alaska in here? What's going on? So distinct aroma of pollock.
Never watch a horror film, would you?
What? Oh, blood doesn't smell that bad, mate.
It's got stomach acid, blood, and
The-
fucking
The
shit.
stomach
all over.
acid. But again, that's the worst part of that would be if it's a proper slasher film, and then you get people dying and voiding themselves everywhere. Then it's just like shit everywhere.
Don't they?
Fuck off, zombie!
But also, can you imagine playing something like Battlefield? You know, you're out in the middle of fucking butt-fuckistan. It's like there's shit and sewage everywhere, dead people, explosions. It's just shit, blood, and fire everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well,
Yeah, but like I do think in driving games, like the smell of the petrol and stuff. Cause
the smell in driving games would be awesome. But I think the
burnt
next
rubber.
step for immersion in that's got to be a G seat. So again, that's another application for an inertial dampening field, because inertial dampening field can be an inertial amplifying field as well. So you could just have a seat that you sit in, and it applies G-forces to you appropriate to what's happening in the game.
Yeah,
so
it
you
already,
could be
already
in
exists,
a
man.
seat. No. That's cheating. It just leans you over.
No.
I'm talking about it actually applying real G-force to you, rather
be
than
awesome.
just tipping you over. Yeah, because you can't go upside down. You can't get the upside down sensation in those seats unless it's in a gyroscope thing. That's crazy.
What? I don't
If it's in one of
generally
those
go
fucking-
upside down in a car anyway.
Yeah, you're not doing it hard. Not trying hard enough, mate.
Imagine that. Gyroscope.
You're playing the wrong
racing
kind of
seat,
games,
and
mate.
just
I'm talking
flip it
about
on
playing
purpose.
shit like fucking Trackmania.
That would be amazing, but
But also flight
the
simulators.
fuck would you do
No.
that?
Right, if you're playing a flight simulator game and you're in if you were in a fucking a proper like inertial seat with a like a Rift headset or something better than that on, and you're just flying around, you're actually in it. That's
In
you
a
know,
gyro
you're,
thing.
You're seeing it and you're feeling it and doing everything. Everything's there. You know, proper controls. You've got everything you need. You know, you can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. And you can touch it. Then you just need some. All you need is some dude to sort of waft a bit of fucking jet fuel around near you, and then a bit of like blow some air through the window or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I can smell it too. Then when you get shot down, you need to get them just like just splash engine oil in your face, and you go, I can taste it too now. Complete experience.
Yeah, well, let's try it. See how popular it is.
I wouldn't want to subject anyone to such a shit fucking experience. It'd be fucking terrible. But this is like, yeah, this is really realistic,
Right, if
and
you
I
had-
don't like it. It's too good. It's too much.
If you had Oculus support with a gyroscope wheel
That's the other thing. I've got
that's
to
all it
try and
is.
get. This is why I've been trying to fucking encourage Toby to play War Thunder, because I know that War Thunder is one game.
Fat on the Oculus.
Yeah, because
Even
with
the
War,
tanks.
because mate, fucking just
Never
the
played
flight
it.
sim especially, because it's just it's a simple it's a game you can play every day with the Oculus and have an excellent time.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an excellent time on War Thunder almost every day, and I don't even fucking have an Oculus to use.
Why? What's so great about that?
It's just imagine all the best things about a flight sim game, and then you played fucking Ace Combat games and stuff on the PlayStation, haven't you?
No, not really.
No? Well, you're
Played-
missing out, mate.
Played Toy Soldiers.
Well, basically, it's just a really. I love it for the aircraft. Basically, you can do tank stuff too, which is good. But I love it for the aircraft stuff. It's just the best.
I thought it was mainly just
Air-
aircrafts. Anyway.
Yeah, it was. It was exclusively aircraft for a long time. But then they've added in tanks a little while ago, and they've got that really good too. But the aircraft stuff is the best. One of the best flight simulator games or flight games I've played in years. Since
Yeah.
Microsoft Flight Simulator, basically, and the combat's good. The way that all the mechanics work is really good. It's got domination game type, which is the same as Battlefield domination game type, except that the points are airstrips, and you have to land on the airstrip to capture it, and then take off and get out the fucking way quickly before the enemy strafe you and take you out on the runway. So, and then you've got to hold it as well. But there's just lots of very cool things about this game. So if you're at all interested in World War II, or it's basically from the beginning of World War II to the beginning of the Jet Age, So sort of like, I don't know, 1942
Yeah, I
or
have played it.
1941, all the way through to like Korean War sort of time. That's all the aircraft in the era that's in the game at the moment.